Oh, hey. Sorry. Hey, everyone. Hello. What am I doing here? Okay, here I am. Hi, everyone. It's Rita from Miss Rita to the Rescue. Good morning and happy Monday. First Monday of spring of 2021. Isn't that awesome? And we are starting off a brand new week of Cricut Chat. Hi, Regina. Good morning to you. So a brand new week of Cricut Chat that's going to be filled with spring and Easter projects, working mostly with the Cricut. I say mostly because there's one or two projects that I'm doing that I'm excited about that don't require the Cricut, but I thought I'd figure out a way to incorporate the Cricut in there somewhere. But let's see, today is Mystery Material Monday, and so we're going to talk about the Sublimation printer because I had a huge breakthrough over the weekend. I'm so excited about it that I wanted to share with you, and I'm pretty sure that a mystery material of sublimation printing is probably mysterious enough for today. And then you worked on coasters yesterday. Awesome. And let's see, the rest of the week, we've got all kinds of wonderful plans too. So I hope that you can join me. This is Cricut Chat. My name is Rita, and this is my channel. We do this every day from Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock. We also come on Saturday nights now at 7 o'clock, and Sunday mornings, or really it's at 1 o'clock for Cricut Brunch with the Joy. So we are broadcasting, if that's what we call this, podcasting maybe, 7 days a week. So this should be fun. And we're in our second week of doing that. So let's see. Let me say hello to everyone, and then I'm just going to, just kind of jump in. So for people who have been watching all along, you know that I've been really excited about getting the Cricut mug press. And then I started thinking, I bet sublimation would work really well with this mug press. So I decided to take the plunge and buy a sublimation printer. But it actually is just a regular EcoTank printer that I have outfitted as a sublimation printer. So it wasn't nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be. I ended up buying an Epson EcoTank. I think I got the cheapest one, which is the 2720. And then I bought my ink and sublimation paper to work the printer. Unfortunately, I had the devil of a time trying to get it to work with Cricut Design Space, which is my chosen place to design. So I was either going to have to learn an entirely new design program, which I didn't really want to do just yet. I mean, I know there are some great ones out there, but I just haven't had the time to learn an entire new system. And I like Design Space as much as other people complain about it. I happen to like it, and I've been working with it for a long time. I find it pretty intuitive. So I wanted to be able to connect this to Design Space, and be able to print it with the printer and cut it with Design Space. So I want to design in Design Space, print it from Design Space, and then potentially cut them. So as you may already know, I am a Corgi fanatic, have been for about 20 years now, and I have my two Corgis, Teddy Bear and Benji, but before that I had 6 other corgis. So I am kind of in deep with the corgis. And one of these images that I found that I was making into stickers was this Corgi Mermaid sticker that I think I bought it on Etsy. So I want to show you kind of start to finish how I created a file like this that I then can print out and on the sublimation printer, and then cut out and put on a mug. Okay, and so let me start by saying usually print then cut, you can find, ends up being a print then cut file. So you can find a lot of print then cut files just by going to image search and typing in print or printable. And you'll come up with a whole lot of printable things here, and it will, you can use this with the sublimation printer. But again, I'm a Corgi fanatic, so I had in mind some of these really cute, like sort of, I think they're called kawaii corgis, right? So what I did was I went to, hey, we're going to do this soon. This is a giant flower. We're going to be making that soon. So I went to Google, like everybody else does, you know, and I went to Google, and I also wanted to make a mug for Owen, my son. And actually, this is what he wanted on his mug, and he is so excited about it that that he's already used it several times. And I also made one of a Dominican flag for my Dominican friend. So you can start here on Google. You could type in, say, Corgi image or clip art or something like that, and you could find some here. And here's where I bought, and I bought these. So you got to be careful in Google, okay? Because not all the pictures that come up are free to use. I mean, for instance, if I typed in Coca-Cola image, these Coca-Cola images are copyright protected. So you do have to be careful, because you start doing that with Disney products or whatever, and it could cause you some trouble, especially if you try to. Oh, you're Peruvian. Oh, Perlita, that's wonderful. Well, I don't know if, do you speak Spanish in Peru? It does mean cute in Japanese. Okay, so just getting off track here, but you do need to be careful about where you get your images from. I know I purchased mine from the original artist, okay? And then once I purchased it, I could download it to Design Space. So let me just go back here. I'm going to save my project, and then I would upload the image. So here I am, and I'll just show you, there's a couple of other images that I did as well. So there's the Dominican one, and here is the Dominican flag, and we'll also bring in Owen's doom thing, and let's insert them into Design Space. So I brought them in, and they are set as print then cut images. You'll see that over here. You see it says print then cut. That's what you're going to be doing with these images. So you're going to use the print then cut, but instead of printing on a regular printer, you're going to print on a sublimation printer. Now you need to be careful here about size, because obviously if I make it too big, it's not going to fit on the mug. So I did a little bit of a little bit of sizing on my mug, and it's about like 3¼ inches tall, 3½ inches tall, and then about 10 inches around. But you got to figure this space here is not going to be covered. So when I did, for instance, Owen's thing, I made sure that the height was like around 3.25, and let me just go there, 3.25. And it looks small, but it's going to look really great on a cup. Same thing with the flag. I made it sort of about, maybe it's about 3 inches. And this is the coat of arms for the Dominican one. And let's see, I think I made it 3.25 like this. Now, one thing you will notice in these images, it's wording. So Dios, Patria, Libertad, and República Dominicana here, and then also here on Doom. So what you need to be careful of is when you're going to print this out, that you're going to mirror your image. This is why I wanted to use Design Space, because I was so used to mirroring images, and also I wanted a place where I was comfortable with working with what I was working on, okay? So to get to this place, really, you need to convert an image from whatever format it's in to the print and cut in Cricut Design Space. Okay, so there is that. Now, let me pull up. I'm going to pull up my Corgi thing. So my Corgi image is a little different than those other images, and that is because it's smaller, right? And it hasn't got, and I hope that it looks better than this when I pull it up, right? Okay, so I'm going to replace that. All right. So the Corgi image is smaller, and so I got the idea of replicating the image in different sizes. So what I did was I ended up just taking that image. Where is the image individual? Corgi. No, okay. So I just wanted to make sure I find it, and I want to show you this part too. Hold on. Okay, so first thing I did was I cut these out individually, and that was a real pain in the neck. And because then what I did was I cut them out individually, and then I took my mug and taped these on here like this. A lot of tape, and it was kind of frustrating. So of course I had a little aha moment, and I said, what if I cut them all out the size of the actual mug? So what I did was I pulled up this blank sort of template for the mug, and I put it underneath my images and sort of kind of moved them around and determined that this was going to be the proper size for the mug that I wanted to do. And then I could take this away. So I had all of these, but I wanted them to stay in this order, because if they didn't stay in this order, then they would just be all a bunch of different ones that I have to cut out individually. So what I did was I created a box right here that was approximately this size. And now this box is a printable sized image. And I want to mention that because there are limitations to print and cut on Design Space. You're going to be using 8.5 by 11-inch paper, but the entire paper is not used up for print and cut. You will have some waste. You need to like sort of save your scraps kind of thing. This is the same thing as stickers and anything else like stickers, print and cut, sublimation, iron-on, that kind of thing. Vinyl stickers is that you're going to have some waste when you're doing a print and cut image, okay? So I arranged all my little sized corgis. So I have little ones, medium ones, and big ones, and I was able to get quite a few on here. So I got got 3 big ones, 3 medium-sized ones, and 4 little ones. And I put them in this box just to make sure that this box is not exceeding the size of the print and cut, okay? So then I could remove the box and shade out this, but I have to select all of these and choose attach. Okay, by choosing attach, these will stay in this position, which I know will fit on the mug and will print all together in that exact same position. So when I hit make it, you'll see it turns itself this way, okay? And with this particular design, it doesn't really matter that you mirror, but get in the habit of mirroring anyway. So when you're on the screen, you just hit the mirror button and you'll notice that your corgis are swimming the other way, okay? And so what I'm going to do is then take this whole image and use my sublimation printer to print it out. So I'm going to go to continue. And here, when you have a print and cut image, you're going to have this printer dialog box where you have to actually send it to your printer, which is what I'm going to do. But because this is sublimation, I want a really high quality. So when I first came up with this idea, look at the quality of the image. It's really not that great. It didn't come out that well. It's very streaky and everything. And I thought, well, maybe it won't show. Well, it did. So I ended up with a striped Corgi Mermaid mug. So what I needed to do on this is I'm going to remove the bleed. Bleed is like a space around the image so that it will cut out and you won't have to it won't cut your actual lines around the image. So I just removed that for sublimation, but I did add use system dialog and then I hit print. And here is where you need to pay very careful attention. You want the best quality printout with your printer. So I chose this Epson. That's my printer that I turned into sublimation printer. But down here under layout and print settings, I chose photo quality inkjet. And then I was able to change the print quality to high, okay? And then under color options, I chose photo enhance because I wanted them to be the best quality, like as if they were a photo. Then I can go ahead and go and print this out. So let me show you, invest in the mug press. You don't need to, so let me just tell you that we're going over this because there are some people that want to know about sublimation. So I want to show them how I did it. But please, 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 if I am presenting something that you don't want to get into, just come for the conversation and that's all, or just the knowledge of knowing Faye. So this, it's not necessarily for you, but you might be able to pick up some tips on print and cut, okay? So a printer that is a sublimation printer is essentially a printer. So you do need to put in special ink. It has to be dedicated to it. And you have to have the paper in here. So this is a sublimation paper. So I'm just going to I have it installed and I'm going to hit print. And then it's going to go through the process of printing. I'm not going to wait for it all to print simply because you don't have the time. It does take a little while longer to do this, okay? So now I'm going to bring you down here and just kind of go through how you would use print and cut on a mug with sublimation, okay? So this is how it prints out, right? It was done this way, but it prints out like this. You notice that the colors are not nearly as bright as here. And that's okay because it's that special ink. So it needs the heat applied to it. This is the same as infusible ink. So when you roll out infusible ink, you notice that the colors are very muted. Actually, the black looks brown and the reds look almost pink-like. So it's the same sort of theory as infusible ink, but it's done with an image like this, okay? So here we go. Now, this is the registration marks are good for cutting on Design Space. And I could have cut this on Design Space. I could cut it on Design Space, or I could also just take my scissors and just cut around and take out those registration marks, okay? And while I'm doing this, I'm going to be heating up my mug press because it needs to heat up just the same as any of the easy presses. It needs time to get hot enough. Okay, so I'm just trimming. It doesn't matter that I'm not cutting this out all individually like this, although you could do this, okay? Personally, I think this is a much better way to do it than doing the tape separately, but to each his own, right? So here is a mug. It's the same, it's a Cricut mug. And what we would do is take this and turn it on this way so that it's going to show through, and you see that it flips my corgis over to go on the other side. And then I would simply wrap it on my mug, and I have to tape it. Okay, so this is heat-resistant tape. Personally, I have been using a lot of the heat-resistant tape with the Sublimation printouts because with anything, even the infusible ink, the tape seems to really hold it in place. Here's the other one, just so you can see. Now, what I would probably do for this one, because it's like slightly bigger, is try to get as close to the bottom so that way it doesn't hang over or or on the top of the mug, you see? So in this particular case, I want for the ears to be included on the top. And this one, I might have to consider doing it on the larger mug. This is the smaller mug. Okay, but I could probably try that one. But this one here is slightly smaller, so we're going to do this. And I'm going to just sort of put it so that it's even where the mug handle is. Same technique as you would do if you were doing infusible ink mug, okay? So there you go. The infusible ink has a nice sticky part that will hold it there, but this does not, so I need to use that tape. It is heat-resistant tape. Don't use other tape, okay? The heat-resistant tape has the ability to get hot without doing anything to the surface of your mug or whatever that you're going to use it for. You can buy either the Cricut brand or any other brand. It's up to you what you'd like to do. And if you really are very cautious and you want to make sure that your image is going to be really closely set, you can put tape on the top and bottom, but I think that this is going to be enough. And remember that the mug actually hugs the mug press actually hugs the mug. So let's talk a little bit about the mug press. So this is the mug press. I'm going to go up higher. This is a mug press. Now, I've heard so many good things. I've seen so many people using this, and they're really getting the hang of it. And I cannot believe the amount of people that are really getting the hang of it. This is it was designed pretty much to be foolproof and to give you professional looking mugs, okay? Usually from the start. And aside from little things such as not putting the image or the infusible ink on right, or not mirroring your images, there have been very few people who have like completely failed. Most of them, they say, oh, I like the way this looks, but I will do this differently next time. Okay, so that's just good to know. It's pretty foolproof, and all you need to do is once it's heated up, you're going to take the mug and you're going to slip it in between this little space here. This is where the handle goes, and then you're going to just press down. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is right here, there is going to still be that opening for the handle, but you want your entire image to be surrounded by the mug press. You see how at the top it sort of goes in and it hugs the mug. It's not moving. There's also these little progress dots on the top. There's 5 of them, and within a matter of 4 to 6 minutes, you will see that each one gets lit up, and then you'll get a beep. And it's fairly quick. Let me also just explain too that this is meant to be, it doesn't have to be in a workspace. You can use this like on your table. However, you do need to be careful of fumes, because when I used infusible ink, I smelt a little bit of fumes, but when I used the sublimation ink, I saw a lot of like smoky, billowy things coming up, and I smelt more fumes there. So try to do it in a well ventilated area. Don't do it in a small place, because the fumes are not good, obviously. So once this is done, it is done. I don't have to treat it. I don't have to seal it. I don't have to wait 24 hours or anything like that, because it is actually infused into the mug. So think of this as it's a gas. This printer is a special kind of print, just like infusible ink. And when the heat and pressure are put on this image, it turns into a gas, and then it has no choice, because it's a gas, it has no choice but to impregnate itself onto whatever it is that it's attached to. That's how infusible ink works, and that's how sublimation works. So in terms of just understanding sublimation versus infusible ink has the sheets that have the whole thing is covered in ink, and then you cut out your image that you want, and then you put it on your mug. The difference here is that this is going to print out a very specific image using the same ink that infusible ink uses, but in a special way that it has like all the different colors, okay? So infusible ink and sublimation printing both work in the mug press. And really, those are the only 2 things that are going to work: sublimation printing or infusible ink. Please do not try iron-on. It won't work. It'll get way too hot, and you probably end up burning the iron-on. Do not try it. It needs to be done with these types of things. Now, over the weekend, I did do a lot of viewing of movies and everything, and I saw some pretty amazing things people are doing with the mug press. First off, I've seen some people take taller than the mug press and actually putting it in and doing the bottom, then taking it out and flipping it over and doing the top. I was like floored, so amazed at that. And so I'm waiting for some of those taller mug type of things so that I can try it. What else did I see? I saw some people doing skinny mugs. And the way that they sort of tricked their mug press is that they use corrugated cardboard to pick up the slack, because there's a certain diameter, right? I think it's 3.2 inches diameter. And so that's what it's created to do around this mug. And it's only between a 12 ounce and a 16 ounce mug. So if you have something that was a skinny kind, you know, that are more like sippy cup type things, you can sort of wedge cardboard in there. I saw somebody do that. I was amazed. What else have I seen? I've seen people do this on glass mugs. Now these mugs are specifically coated with, it's like a poly coating that's put on the mug so that you can do it. Don't try with any old mug, your Dollar Tree mug or anything like that. It needs to be specifically a sublimation blank. That's what they're called, sublimation blank. I've also seen people do the entire circle, so things that didn't have a handle, and so the entire circle. And so what they did was they lifted it and they turned it and then put it down again. The only problem with that is it's very, very hot. So you need to be very careful when you're dealing with that. And so heat resistant gloves are sort of recommended there. Okay. So these are all just, little, why can't I print bigger? Okay. I could talk about that. So right now, design space is limited so that it can only deal with, I don't need the butcher paper, believe it or not. I did not need the butcher paper when I did this over the weekend. And so I didn't need it, so I didn't add it, and it didn't do anything to my actual mug press. Maybe to be on the safe side, I would use butcher paper, but I've only ever done that when I've used the, there we go, it's done. And here it is. Now it's super hot. I got to put it over here so I can move this. All right, so it's super hot. I don't want to put this down on my surface here because it will warp, but I need to wait for it to cool a little bit before I take it off. But because we're here, I want to take it off to show you. And you can see sort of through the paper. We were going crazy because of the butcher paper. Yeah, I only have used the butcher paper for the pens because you're putting it on a very thin paper. This paper is pretty thick, so I didn't really need to do that. All right. And that is it. Now it's still hot. I have to let it cool, but other than that, I can have my coffee in it as soon as it's cooled down. Isn't that great? Actually, I'm going to send this one to my friend Holly because she has, she's a swimmer like me, and she's a Corgi fanatic like me. And so see what happened. This is actually the right side. This is what it looked like originally. And this is after it got pressed, okay? So it fades off of there, and then with the heat, it brightens up the color. So see, there's the original, and there is what we came up with, okay? Now, obviously, not everybody in the world is a fanatic about corgis, but maybe there's something that you are. Like, for instance, my friend who's Dominican, and he wanted the Dominican flag. Or, for instance, my son who likes this, I don't know, it's some sort of I don't know, computer game or something like that. So I was able to do that. And he only wanted it on one side. So that's what I did. So this is infusible. Yeah, it does. I haven't used the butcher paper. I've only made like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like maybe 5 using this technique, but I haven't had the need to use the butcher paper. No. No. So if you're going to use a sublimation printer, again, remember that that you need to have special ink and special printer, special paper. So it's not like something you can just print off your inkjet printer at home and put onto a mug. It does not do that. I could. Now, that's a good question. Paralita's asking, can I put his name? He just said, you know, he told me he didn't want anything on this side, but I said, I could put your name there, you know, I could put your name here. And I'm thinking that I might, maybe not with his mug, but I might try doing something on this blank page. And so there, you know, I don't know, because I'd have to put the mug back into the mug press a second time. So I haven't, you know, tried that yet. So, so if people have tried this, otherwise, for instance, with the sublimation printer and have used butcher paper, then I haven't seen the need for it. I will use butcher paper if I use the infusible ink pens. Okay, I will use butcher paper for that. But, and the reason why you use the butcher paper is to keep from staining your the inside of your mug press. So let me just show you. So there's my mug press, and there's nothing stained on the inside of it. So that's that, I guess. So, okay, and then let's talk a little bit about the print size. So here's the thing about printing with print then cut, okay? Printing with print then cut, and your Cricut is, it needs to be in a certain space. And the space is, I believe, 9¼ inches by 5½ inches. Let me just check that. I'll make this bigger so I can see. Yeah, so this I made 10 inches by 4. So it's definitely 9¼ inches on one of the measurements. Let's just go back here, and I'll make it smaller. And I think it's 9¼ by 5½ So the reason why it's like that is so that your Cricut can have so you can have registration marks around them. So when you do this and you make it, it has to be within that box size. So I'm going to have to change it to say this. It's still incompatible, so it's very strict. Now it's compatible because it's like 9¼ by 5½. Okay. And so you see, this is your 8½ by 11 inch sheet. So all of this part gets wasted. This is particularly a problem if you're making stickers. Now, there are other ways around it, which would be you could print outside of Design Space, and then you wouldn't have these registration marks. There are good reasons for doing something outside of Design Space. But again, I'm used to Design Space. So for me, this worked because my mug wasn't any bigger than that. So I really didn't need to print bigger than that. But if I wanted to, say, print a whole thing of stickers, I would have to be very careful about the size of the box. So there you go. And I've been watching a lot of videos about stickers, and stickers are so big that I'm going to do a whole segment on stickers where we'll talk about print then cut, and we'll talk about how to make the stickers waterproof and how to do all kinds of really fun things with the stickers. So I hope that you'll tune in for that. Any other questions about, I use it on my other mug press. Okay. Wouldn't that block some of the heat? Can you use a silicone wrap? You could, but I think a silicone wrap takes the place of using the mug press. So, so if you wanted a large image for shirt or tote, you just print outside of design space and use the entire, yes, that is the case, Annette. Yeah, so if you want bigger than what is allowed, then there you go. Oh, okay. So you guys are talking about spiral Bettys. Now, that is something I saw over the weekend as well. So spiral Betty is just an image that's cut out to look like a spiral, but the image is like kind of put inside of the circle. So you kind of have to look at it in a certain way so you can see what the image is. I will do a little more research on that, and we can maybe do one of those on a shirt or something like that, okay, for a spiral Betty. And so just going to go back and check all of the notes. So yeah, with the copy paper, because it's kind of thin and it really supposed to be laser printer paper, so it's a slightly thicker, but with the copy paper, that's what you would use the pens with. Now, if you wanted to try that other technique that we've been showing you, the one that that I sort of happened upon, of writing on an infusible ink sheet, you could do that, and you do not need butcher paper for that. So you take well, let me show you. So if we would go to images, say, and we go to image sets, and we go to mug, you'll come across, let's go down here, I think, full mug design. So you come across some of these mug designs that are written instead of using the, nope, it's not in this one, instead of using the infusible ink stuff there. So let me see, is it on here? For instance, there was one that I did with the cats, and it said feline fine. It must be in this one. Yeah, I think it's here. There it is. Okay, so there's this one that's the cat, but you'll see that some of them, let's see, there's 3 different ones. So here's a cat, and it says feline great, and you can see there is a difference. Let's pull them all in so you can kind of see. So I'm going to pull in all of these. Here, this is the one that I wanted to show you. Okay, so in this case, you've got images that are using the pens, and then images that are using the transfer sheets, okay? I just want to show you. So this one here is assuming that you're going to use plain paper, laser paper, and you're going to use your pen to do the feline great. The same with this, only it doesn't say feline great on it, okay? And then these ones here assume that you're going to be just cutting it out from transfer sheets, okay? So that's this one. So what I did was, let me just move these out of the way, is I took this and I decided that I was going to cut it out on transfer sheets, but I was going to write on the transfer sheets before I cut it out. And it was something that some people were not advising that you do. Cricut didn't advise, but I said, hey, what the heck? I'm going to try it. And I did it, and it came out really fabulous. Couple of things that I would change about this is once I got it out of my Cricut, I did trim up these area here because these little pieces will not press on your mug. And then the other thing that I did was I chose a lightish color for the background. Okay, so you couldn't choose, say, black, but you could choose something like this. So this here, I probably wouldn't choose this color because it's pretty dark, but choosing something like this or like this, you can write directly on that transfer sheet with infusible ink pens. Make sure you mirror it, and then press it. You do not need butcher paper, and you will get a really excuse me, a really interesting result, and it looks really, really good. So great. Okay, so there you go. So there's just a couple of more ideas to use your mug press. Can you use sublimation paper to write on it instead of copy laser? I think the idea of the sublimation paper. Oh, are you saying use sublimation paper instead of copy paper when you're using infusible ink markers? Maybe, maybe that would work. Yeah. I think that would work. Why would you want to do that? Well, okay, so you can avoid using the butcher paper. Perhaps. I might still use the butcher paper though for that, because you're using the pen, and the pen, maybe the ink is going to be more absorbed. I don't know. Maybe we could try that. Okay. So just a few more ideas of what you can do with your mug press. You're not obligated in any way, shape, or form to run out and buy a sublimation printer, but I wanted to show you how I did do that process. Okay. So butcher paper is an interesting concept, and I have pressed Cricut about this. And you want to avoid, there's all kinds of paper, and Don Walsh and I were having this conversation. So there's all kinds of paper. There's wax paper, there's freezer paper, there's parchment paper, I'm trying to think, there's another kind of paper. So this is a medium weight butcher paper. And if you are looking for it, Cricut does not sell it individually. However, I have found it at Costco. So if you're a Costco customer, it comes in a square. It's near the wrap aisle. It comes in like a square, like almost a rectangular box, and it's literally labeled butcher paper. So you could use that for sure, but you do not want to use like wax paper or anything that's coated, because think of the wax paper. It has a wax coating on it, and that will surely melt and ruin your mug press and your regular paper, your regular press. Now, people have asked, well, what if we can't find the butcher paper? If you are purchasing infusible ink in the large boxes, it does come with an ample supply of butcher paper, and I've actually never run out when I'm using a box. But could you use parchment paper? Probably. Yeah. And so there are also very thick butcher papers. And so I'm not sure. I think we'd have to do a whole thing, like a whole series on trying out different things. So let me think about that going forward, so we can talk about the butcher paper, okay? But for right now, you will get the butcher paper inside the boxes of the large. It's hard for me to say, yeah, you can use that stuff because I can't see it. But what I would try to consider is Can you do some cutting fabric for? Sure, we can do fabrics. Actually, what did I use? I used my rotary blade over the weekend. I was very busy this weekend to cut crepe paper. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be doing crepe paper coming up. I couldn't do it today because I didn't get all of my supplies in. But if you like Leah Griffiths, or if you like paper flowers, we're heading into a segment that is going to take a look at craft paper and how you can use it with your maker. Unfortunately, you cannot you could try it, of course, but you can't really successfully cut crepe paper. I might have said craft paper just now, but you can't really cut crepe paper with an Explore or a Joy. Now, crepe paper, what is it? We're going to go over that. But it comes in rolls, and it's made in different places. These are Leah Griffiths crepe paper. It comes in like this set here. It's very nice stuff. It's made in Germany by a special, it's called Wirola, and it's a little expensive for this pack. I think it's about $20, and it's really not a whole lot, but it's a very nice crepe paper. It feels very nice, and crepe paper it's got a very special process. I once watched a video on how they make it. It's really interesting because it has a stretch. So here is a crocus blossom that I cut out of crepe paper, and you see how it stretches like this, and that's how you're going to get a very realistic looking flower. Okay, but you need to use your maker to cut on cut crepe paper. But I do have a project coming up that is this, which we saw. Let me just check here. So this is a giant paper flower made with crepe paper by Smile Mercantile. And I was able to use, I'm working on getting it together. I need one thing more to do it. But I was able to use this cheaper crepe paper from China. Not nearly as nice as the stuff from Leah, but it does still have that nice stretch, okay? So for this, I was able to actually cut it by hand and create the flowers. So where did I get these? So I got the Leah stuff from Joann's. You can also purchase it right on Leah's website. It's Leah Griffith. Leah Griffith, Griffith. I got this Chinese style paper from Paper Mart. It's a very big roll, you see, and it costs $2, like $2.50 for this big old roll. So I wouldn't recommend making some of Leah's very delicate looking flowers with it, but for these larger flowers, it's going to work just fine. And I actually spent part of my evening last night cutting out these are the petals, you see, and we're going to put them on actually a paper plate, and we're going to have like a very large, maybe like 1.5 inch diameter flowers. Okay, so we're going to be doing that this week. I'm just waiting for a couple of different materials to come in or for me to pick them up. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for today. I hope that this was at least enlightening. If you don't have a sublimation printer, at least maybe you learned a little bit about print and cut, and we will be doing print and cut. As far as the fabric goes, I'm happy to show you how fabric is cut on the maker. You can cut fabric with the Explore, but the fabric needs to be bonded. And what that means is to have like an interfacing so that it can cut all the way through. So I would like to show you how to cut fabric using the Maker, because it uses what's called the rotary blade, and the rotary blade just cuts through it like butter, just like it does with the crepe paper, okay? So I think that is it for today. I hope you all enjoyed the lesson. Come back tomorrow. I think we're doing Easter cards tomorrow. Yep, we're doing some Easter cards that you can do on any Cricut machine. I have worked through some Cricut machine, I made some changes in Design Space so that you could do them on the Joy or the Explorer or on the Maker. It's up to you. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow here on Cricut Chat. Take care. Have a great day.